Hi, welcome. Location change, no makeup, slightly damp hair, but I'm clean. I was going to do a different music based video. Oh my god. Oh lord. Wow. Before I did this one, but things happened. I had to deal with things, and then on top of it, I had like post nasal drip, and I couldn't even talk. But I listened to Act Two of Autumn, and I had to give you my thoughts. I'm gonna take you through my journey of listening to this for the first time, and I wrote notes. So what I did was, so for the first for the first act, it was kind of more like my thoughts in general. Um, but this time I'm going to take you through it song by song. And these, as I listened to song by song, I wrote down my like first impressions, my thoughts on them. And also, I even wrote down my thoughts just on the project in general and where we're at right now. Because, and as I said, I recommend you watch the first the first video on this album by the Smashing Pumpkins, because I talk about, so what if I'm a bit disappointed, like, I still love them, kind of a thing, and I will reiterate that. I still love this band. I'm grateful that we have these people from like the 19 like they started in like the late 80s and they're still around and being creative. I love that Billy William Corgan himself is still being creative and out there, and he's writing and he's creating things, because I think he's a creative genius. I just think he is. But I don't even know where to begin. Like, should I begin with okay, I'll begin with this thought on Act 2 of Autumn. And then I'll get into track by track, and then, I wrote things down, so I'm going to go take you through the journey with me. I feel like about halfway through listening to these batch of songs, these batch of 11, I felt as if this project was overthought, and I feel like it could have been condensed. And all that I know is that, so it's a concept record, but all that I know about, if you, just by listening to it, is like, okay, it takes place in space. Like, there's a space element, like a sci-fi element to it. And the more I listen to this record, I kind of think that the story belonged in a different medium. Because I'm not getting much of like the story. You know what I mean? Like, I could listen to a song like Beguiled and understand and feel like just by itself, and not feel like, oh, there's something there, I'm missing something. Like, I don't even know if I'm explaining this correctly. Like, I feel like each song needs to be a puzzle piece where it's like, oh, like in succession, that makes sense. Does what I'm saying make sense? I don't even know. But I feel like you can listen to these songs by themselves and you're like, okay, you can accept them as their own entity. Not like, oh, it like creates something. That's what I get just by listening to it. Maybe I'll understand it more after I listen to it more. And I know that there's a podcast where Billy is talking about like, oh, what's happening in the story with each song, but I feel like if I need that to understand the story or what's going on, I kind of, like, no disrespect, I'm not trying to be a dick, but I feel like it's not like your job's not really being done. I'm okay with like a companion piece, like a map. Like, say it takes place in, like, I don't know, it's like a Game of Thrones world. Okay, yeah, give me a map. That's cool. Or, I think even like Handmaid's Tale, like, people have made a map. Like, okay, cool. Like, now I understand like where Gilead is or whatever. Or if you say, like, or you have a map for freaking, the Hobbit, like the world of the Lord of the Rings and that makes sense. But I'll talk more about this thing, the concept aspect, later, right? So the first song in Act 2 that kicks off this act. Now, I legitimately, I felt good. I had not high hopes, but I had good feelings about going into the second act, because I remember reading on the Wikipedia page or somewhere on the internet that, well, one act is kind of more like heavy and return to form, and I thought it would be the second act because, hey, it has Beguiled on it, which is the first thing we heard from this project, and people were like, oh yeah, cool, Beguiled, like dun 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 dun. We had some chugging guitars, and that's a fun song to play, to listen to. So I was looking forward to this act, and I hate to say it, but this act of this, basically it's 3 albums in one. This Act 2 actually made me further disappointed in this project. And it's a shame, because I hear these little interesting details that I'm like, that's good. That's a little nugget that I found, but like, it belongs in something grander. I don't know if that's right. So we're going to take you song by song, or I'm going to take you song by song. The first song is called Avalanche, okay? There's great song titles, or interesting and intriguing song titles, like cool song titles, but then you listen to the song and you're kind of like, what does that have to do with the song? You know what I mean? So Avalanche, the first minute and a half is a bit weird. But I appreciate there's this line, and I think it's Billy Corgan's little daughter. She's repeating, when will we know what happiness means? I like that. Like, there's like little lyric nuggets that I appreciate and I like. But this, I wrote, needs to blast off. So the song needs to, like, I said, the hook doesn't lead us to something interesting. You know what I mean? It's like, there's moments on this record where it's like, okay, there's nuggets that's like, oh, it's interesting and it's different in a good way. Sometimes you're different in a bad way, or it's different in a bad way, and then you're like, oh, but it's not, doing anything. Second song, okay, I had a feeling this song would be full of guitars because they played it live, Empires. So the second track is called Empires, and they played it live. Had never heard it. I was like, I'll wait. I'll just wait. It's fine. And I wrote guitars, I underlined it, and I put, there are backing vocals, or I said guitar, actually, sorry, I said guitars, there you are. Backing vocals with an exclamation point, and I said it's like rock gospel. So when the backing vocals kick in, it kind of feels like that. And there's the main hook of it is he's saying, come and meet your new gods, or God. I can't remember if it's new gods, but I wrote, come and meet your new gods. I liked that. I like this song, but it's still a bit basic. Like, they could have taken this to the extra. Like, if you have a line where you're saying, come and meet your new gods, that's, like, powerful. And I feel like it needed to be, like, this was, like, superhero powerful, not God powerful. You know what I mean? Like, come and meet your new gods. Like, please. So, Empire's one of the better tracks off of this act. I put, like, a little star next to it. I wrote down a general, thought, where I said, starting to think it didn't need to be 3 acts. No shame in condensing, which that's just my opinion, like, to be honest. 3, neophyte. All I remember, I quoted, so I wrote down, it ain't right. All I remember, really, because he repeats, it ain't right, or it just ain't right in this song. And then I wrote, he mentions Buccaneers. That's all I remember from this song. I said, I kind of feel bad for passing me in a little, way, because it's like, I don't know, it's like, I wrote down, I must admit, I don't know what's happening. And then I wrote, too long. which a lot of these songs are way too long and they're too repetitive. I'll admit. 4, track number 4 is Moss. Interesting title. I said, riff is appreciated, it's dark, so they're using like these low notes. And I said, at least it's interesting. I liked the mini solo, and I underlined this. And then in parentheses I put, feels like we're putting a lid or a limit on guitar and drums, and I expect SP to go off. And I underlined that too, a la Geek USA or XYU or Kazar. Am I even saying that right? The first track that kicks off, Oceania, like, Yadi, Vial, and it's just, dun-dun-dun-dun. You know what I mean? Like, why are we putting, it feels like we're putting a lid and like we're pulling back on the reins on not just guitars, but like the drums too. It's like, I want to hear more, you know, like you hear some of it on this record, but not really. I know that they have like great guitar players. Jeff Schroeder is a shredder. Okay, he's called the Shredder. He's an amazing guitar player. Where's James Iha? And we have frickin' Billy Corgan, Mr. WPC himself, who's one of the most underrated guitar players to ever play the fucking instrument. Like, every now and then people are like, oh yeah, he's, I think, an underrated guitarist. Like, people will go, oh yeah, he's a great guitar. It's like, no, I've seen this guy play in concert. Like, he's fucking great. He can shred. So anyway, that's what I feel is happening. Like, we're putting, like, why are we putting a reins on that? I don't, and once again, I liked Sear. Sear was interesting, and yes, it had some synthesizers and all that, like, but I still enjoyed it, and it was catchy and whatnot, and the ideas were so interesting, you know? But so far, this project, I'm like, a lot of songs I don't really care for. Night Waves is track number 5. I wrote boring techno song. I said, sorry, title is cooler than song. Like, what did I say? Oh, I said, I like the drum sound. I said, almost like a drum line snare, kind of like a military. You know what I'm saying? And I said, but it doesn't fit with the song. I agree. I agree with myself. When you're listening to the song, you're like, okay, I like the sound of this snare. It sounds like someone's doing rudiments, or like for drumline, or like a military drum, but it's like, it just doesn't fit with the song. And then this is what I wrote as like a general thought. I said, it feels like we're being thrown into a movie and there is no world building, or there was no world building. I put into space, no spacesuit. It's like, it's like we don't really know what world we're in. We don't know the details. We don't know the rules of the world. We don't know what the world is like, but we're just thrown in. Like right now, it feels like we're floating through space, and we're 16, songs in. We're floating through space. We don't know what the fuck is happening. And a lot of people are not going to listen to the podcast to know what's happening. They may read about, like, oh, what's happening in this song. But I feel like I should know what's happening based off of what's in each song. I mean, no disrespect, like this is, I think what this was this was a very overly ambitious project. And it was like, it gives off the vibe of like, or the feeling of someone bit off more than they can chew. Like what's in WPC's head is like, it's so vast and big, but I feel like this could have been like a comic book or an animated, like short animated series, like what they kind of did with like what is it called, what is it called, like In the Ashes or Into the Ashes for Sear, where like they would take some songs and they animated it and had characters and told story. Like that was cool. They should have done that, and you could use some music or like instrumental or whatever. I feel like this is like the wrong medium to tell this story. That's kind of what it feels like. Anyway, Space Age is song number 6. I didn't hate this song. I wrote down that there's a beautiful string part / drums, with drums in the middle. I said it's kind of pretty and the drums sound great. And yeah, I wrote, maybe they should have been a comic. I agree with myself once again. Space Age isn't terrible. It's just like it's not. I remember not being obsessed with it. It's pretty, but okay. Track number 7 is called Every Morning. I said at 2:30, so 2.5 minutes in, around there. Drums coming in, appreciated, but why is it 6 minutes? The whole song is like 6 minutes. I said there it needs to build. There's no crescendo. It ruins the word requiem in a way because he repeats requiem like so many times. So a lot of these songs don't really have like proper payoff. Like they don't go anywhere. Musically, sonically, if that makes any sense. Yeah, most songs are missing melody. And I know that and I also wrote down, I know they know how to go from quiet to loud, like the quiet to the loud moments. Like if you want to go from like, like it's something in Soma where it's like very lush, beautiful guitar work, and then it just comes in, goes, and you're like engulfed in wall-to-wall sound. 8, To the Grays. Probably the best song off of Act 2. I said it's pretty. I like this one. So far this one and Beguiled are best of Act 2. I said Empires is good, but teetering on basic. I also quoted the fact that I liked the line that I could never lose. For some reason, the way that's delivered, I like it. I said it's original in a good way, and I want to hear it acoustic. I would love to hear this just with Billy and a guitar, acoustic guitar, and singing, I could never lose, or however it goes. I could never, it would have been, that's going to be beautiful. Like, I can picture this. I would love this. Acoustic. Track 9, Beguiled. You already know what I feel about the song. I like it. I wrote down, Return the Faith. That's a pretty powerful line. Return the faith, right? Guitars, like, it's fun to listen to. They had a fun music video. Appreciate it. 10, The Culling. A bit of Tea Garden, Solstice Bear essence. About a minute. The sudden shift, like the difference in, the composition, the music was a bit head-scratching / jarring, I wrote at first. The guitar work is a bit basic. I wish it was more lively. The drums sound good. And I need a lot more. I need a lot more drums. I need a lot more guitar. The synthesizers are cool towards the end. And then here I wrote down, I need more than just scoring background of a sci-fi film. Like, that's fine, but I need more than that. That's personally me. Then we get to the last track. Track number 11. Okay, I have to look up the lyrics because there's, in the beginning, they mentioned Posey, and I'm like, but like, they're asking about, or they're talking about a person named Posey, and I wrote, who the fuck is Posey? And I underlined it. They could be talking about the flower. These are like my first listen impressions, so bear with me. I put acoustic guitar. I put delicious. And then I put, but too repetitive. And the very last thing I have more. And then I wrote, feels like a lot of these songs are beginnings of ideas, and I really do believe that. Unfortunately, these songs feel like they were beginnings of ideas, and I really wish that they were fleshed out because, like I said, there's interesting details and pieces that they could have really worked off of and made into something amazing. I think this could have been an amazing space rock album. Like you cock your gun and put on your spacesuit and you go out there in space and you meet with David Bowie or something, and you meet with, I don't know, Queen, and you meet with Jack White, because Jack White's done some stuff where I've heard it and I'm like, it's like a space age, like sometimes when he plays certain songs live, like it's like a space age rock version or something. Like, oh my gosh, that could have been killer. Like, if it could have been, because they have the talent. If they just shot Jimi Hendrix into space with a guitar and a space helmet, oh my god, that's what it could have sounded like. I said, I feel like this story should have been told through a different medium. Yeah, I mean, I kind of already mentioned that. What else do I have to say? You know, I'm trying to think. No disrespect. Like, if you like this album, great. Like, some people really dig it. But do not be going to people and saying you just don't like it because it's different. Because it's not Siamese Dream. It's not Ave. It's not Adore. It's not, Machina. It's not Melancholy. It's like, no, I've listened to every single release. Like, understand this. Every single studio album, every single release, and, some of the stuff that, like, was not really, like, officially released, but was, like, B-sides or whatever. I love something about it, What's kind of concerning is, like, about this release is the fact that, like, we've listened to 22 songs, and I only really revisit so far, Steps in Time, The Gold Mask, Beguiled, To the Grays, sometimes The Good and Goodbye. That is an interesting delivery. And what was the other one? I mean, Empires is pretty good, but it's kind of basic. So, like, if I have about 6-ish, with realistically, I'm probably only really somewhat addicted to, like, 4 of them. And if 22 isn't really that good of odds. And I'm a person that likes to listen to full-on albums. Like, I like to start at track 1 and listen to the whole thing. And I mean, no disrespect. Like, I can't stress that enough. I'm just giving you, like, as a person who is a big fan of this group, giving my honest to God opinions. And you know what? You can take it or leave it. Like, I don't know. It's like, I feel like a lot of people, like, even I see people on the internet, like, I follow some Smashing Pumpkins fans that are huge, like, possibly, like, bigger than me. They've been to, like, hundreds of shows. Hundreds, or they're, like, on show, like, 182. And I could tell you, they're, like, not saying a lot about this release. Act 1 gets put out. This one mega fan, she just says, this was released and it's good. I can't stop playing this song. And it Steps in Time, which was, like, pretty much the only song that a lot of people were obsessed with. I mean, there was some love for Butterfly Suite, which I didn't really understand. I mean, I didn't really care for Butterfly Suite. But, I still love the Pumpkins. I still think they're one of the most creative bands ever. And, I haven't heard a single word from this other mega Smashing Pumpkins fan about Act 2 of this record. And I find that very telling. I don't know. I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying some of this stuff. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that, they're being at least creative. But I think what it was is this is just a result of being overly ambitious, and overthought in a way. But that's just my opinion. Take it or leave it. Let me know your thoughts on autumn so far. And I'll see you in a new video.